we are introduced to our protagonist, a trained assassin from birth, who has finally decided to live a normal school life. Of course, that means he shouldn't carry a rifle to school or suspect everyone who's attracted to him. But how will a regular high school life go for him? It's really going to be a ride. We see a fool charging forward, fury burning in his eyes. The poor guy in front of him tries to defend himself, but before he can react, bam, he gets punched hard in the gut, nearly losing his breakfast in the process. Meanwhile, a girl speaks up, telling the fool to stop hitting Donggu, her tone carrying a hint of sarcasm. The fool ignores her. At the same time, another student sitting near the class boss brings up a recent event. He reports that one of their members, Park, went to the cafeteria to pick up his order but got his ass handed to him. And the sole person responsible was transfer student. The person is Ju Jiankyo, the second in command of their school. Hearing this, the boss, Park Kang-wook, comments that it seems impossible. He knows Park isn't a pushover. Still, he keeps his focus on his phone, barely giving the situation much thought. Suddenly, the girl from before calls out to Park Kang-wook, addressing him as Big Brother. She asks him to say something to the camera, making him pause momentarily. When he doesn't respond, she pouts, wondering what's wrong with him. He speaks up, calling her annoying and questioning why she's even filming in the first place. Ju chimes in, saying she's been planning to upload videos to YouTube and has been at it for a while now. This makes Park Kang-wook laugh at the idea. Ju chuckles slightly but quickly brings the conversation back to the main issue, reminding him about the newly transferred student beating Park and asking what their next move should be. At the same time, the fool demands 30,000 won from Donggu, claiming it's the only way to avoid a beatdown the next day. Still on his phone, Park Kang-wook decides to deal with the transfer student himself. He needs to teach him a lesson to maintain his reputation. Just then, the classroom door slowly creaks open. The bully stops, momentarily distracted. A strange student steps in, his aura calm yet chilling. With an expression of pure confidence, he asks if he is the boss. His tone is cold. He makes it clear he won't repeat himself. Immediately, the girls in the class turn red, captivated by his looks. The fool just stares at him before demanding to know why some random guy is showing up and acting like he owns the place. The next moment, bam, the fool is hit, easily knocked out. He collapses like a sack of trash. The girls watch, eyes wide in shock. Ju, realizing this guy isn't normal, steps up, demanding to know his identity. Now enraged, he throws tantrums and insults, but the transfer student stays calm. Casually, he introduces himself as Kim, adding that he sees no need for further explanation. Surely, they've already heard the rumors. Ju, already annoyed, gets even angrier and continues his tantrum. He approaches Kim, taunting him, demanding to know what he plans to do now that he's barged into their class. Before Ju can react, his fingers is grabbed. The sudden, overwhelming pain makes him scream. Kim asks again if Ju is the boss. Ju, still trying to escape the tight grip, quickly denies it. To everyone's surprise, he points at Park Kang-wook, exposing him as the real boss. Park Kang-wook grits his teeth in annoyance, glaring at Ju for ratting him out so easily. Then bam, Ju is knocked out just like the fool before him. He drops to the floor like another piece of trash. The background students stare in astonishment. Kim, he just walks past like nothing happened. Now standing in front of Park Kang-wook, he asks the same question once more. This makes Park Kang-wook furious. He responds in a threatening tone, asking if Kim has lost his mind. But Kim makes it clear he's not in the mood for jokes. He punches Park Kang-wook square in the face. The impact is so strong, Kang-wook nearly goes flying. His phone slips from his hand, and a trickle of blood drips from his nose. Enraged, he gets up and yells at Kim, calling him a coward for hitting him while he was sitting. Kim dodges his next attack effortlessly. He asked why were you sitting in the first place, while still maintaining his calm. Then he prepared his fist, landing a straight punch on the fool's face. Being the boss meant one hit wasn't enough, so our boy followed up with another, this time landing it squarely on his face. He barely has time to recover before Kim jumps midair and delivers a devastating roundhouse kick. The force sends Kang-wook crashing straight into the classroom window. The background students gasp. One even exclaims in Japanese. Meanwhile, Kim stands in the middle of the class, completely unfazed, watching as the so-called boss lays unconscious. The narrator finally introduces him, Kim. As he strikes a dramatic pose, he predicts that Park Kang-wook will come looking for him sooner or later. He walks out, casually advising the students not to hold a grudge. If they're angry, they know where to find him. With that, he makes his grand debut at school. The bullied kid, Dong-gu, watches him go, surprised and bewildered. Meanwhile, the girl from earlier turns bright red, like she just found her ultimate idol crush. Skipping to the next scene, outside, two people are having a conversation. Kim asks the Dong-gu if he plans to use his mom's money to pay someone to deal with the trash in their class. The kid hesitates, momentarily silent. Kim then explains that he just arrived in Korea, so he doesn't fully understand his words. But if he needs his strength, he needs to pay up. Dong-gu is shocked. Shouldn't people like him do this for justice? He asks, even throwing in a Spider-Man quote. Meanwhile, the girl from before is now full-on stalking Kim. Dong-gu, determined, exclaims that Kim has the strength, and it's his responsibility to protect the weak. But Kim quickly shuts that down, calling it a load of crap. If there's no offer, he's leaving. The kid panics and urges Kim to wait, reminding him that he's already seen firsthand how bad things are. He explains that no one ever helps them. We see a flashback, him beaten up. A teacher watches but does nothing. He simply continues the lecture. Dong-gu tried reporting to the teacher and the principal, only to get beaten again. His suffering felt endless. But when Kim intervened and trashed Park Kang-wook, that was when he finally saw hope. His eyes waver, like he's about to cry. Desperate, he pleads for Kim's help. Only him can do this, he exclaims. Kim sighs, clearly disappointed. Don't get me wrong, he says. He gets where he is coming from, but he has his own needs too. In short, he needs money. Kim's statement brings back unpleasant memories for him. Frustrated, he demands to know why money even matters. They're just students. Like that, there was a moment of silence. Then Kim casually asks if he has heard of assassins. The kid is stunned. Kim continues, explaining that his father is the boss of the world's top assassin organization, the Black Head. The Dong-gu is speechless. Kim then reveals that his parents recently divorced. The girl stalking him is visibly shocked by this information. Kim adds that his father was an ass who always made his mother cry. So, he and his younger sibling followed their mother to Korea. Unfortunately, his father found out and froze all their accounts. Now it all makes sense. Kim leaves, explaining that he needs money and is heading for an interview at a restaurant. Dong-ju, doubting him for a moment, realizes Kim isn't someone who lies about such things. Understanding that Kim won't help for free, he makes an offer, 50,000 won per bully. Kim pauses. A bead of sweat forms as the kid holds his breath. He should have offered more. To his surprise, Kim agrees, deal sealed. Meanwhile, the girl watching from afar blushes. He looks so handsome when he's serious, she murmurs. And so, the story continues. The scene transitions to a group talking about the Park Kang-wook case. The first person, the main vice captain of the bullies, also part of the judo club, Park Ji-hum, wonders how their so-called boss got wrecked alongside his two companions by a newly transferred student. He's clearly frustrated, knowing that their tax collection system will be affected. The second person, the main captain and leader, also the twin brother of Ji-hum, Park Ja-dong, scoffs at the thought. Calling them weaklings, he doesn't seem concerned. Not far from them, Kim and Dong-ju watch from a distance. Dong-ju nervously tells Kim that the twins are his next targets, and that they are dangerous. Then he explains everything. The so-called school boss, Park Kang-wook, is just a puppet controlled by the twins. With his weird horse mask on, he continues. The twins aim to become national judo athletes, so to keep a good school record, they used Park Kang-wook to do their dirty work. Now, the school's situation makes more sense. Since Park Kang-wook has someone to answer to, everything falls into place. But Kim isn't the least bit concerned. His job is simply to handle them. Meanwhile, a girl plays a recording from before. It's the same girl, captivated by Kim's voice, turning red in the process. And thankfully, she recorded the whole thing. At this point, we shouldn't be surprised. However, Jadong notices her flustered look. He calls her by name, Seol Mina, wondering what's going on. Finally, we got her name. I was planning on giving her one soon. She doesn't reply. Instead, she casually asks for the cigarette he promised her. At the same time, Kim is already charging toward the fool. The fool isn't paying attention. He's too busy trying to raise Seol Mina. And just like that, a well-aimed knee strikes straight to his face. Instant knocked out. Seol Mina gasps in surprise, her face turning red. Meanwhile, Kim just stares at the guy, who now has foam coming out of his mouth. It doesn't take long for his twin to realize that Kim is the transfer student. Quickly, he charges toward him, questioning why he looks so good, even adding, Is it because Kim is slim? But something feels off. Seeing Kim standing so calmly makes him feel uneasy. He wonders if Kim had called for backup. Kim notices the hesitation. This fool is careless. Before Jedong can fully understand the situation, a fist is already close to impact. Bam! Kim lands a punch straight to his face, drawing blood from his nose. Before he can recover, another straight punch. The impact is insane, like two planets colliding. Jehung screams loudly from the pain. He drops to his knees while Kim is already preparing for his next move. Then, final strike. A powerful hit, square on his nuts. Another one down. This is Kim's story about conquest. After the intense action in Seoul, Mina wonders why she feels so weak, while her friend reassures her that it's normal for girls to feel that way. However, we can clearly tell from Mina's expression what she is actually feeling. Meanwhile, our boy is silently calculating the payment he'll receive for completing the job. In the next chapter, we see a random student tossing flyers. The flyers feature Kim and his crushing victory against the twins. As for Kim, he sighs, feeling a bit awkward. The students had planned to make everything known, carrying him like some kind of king. This was also Dong-gu's plan, to make sure every class bully knew about Kim. He also made sure the message was written clearly on the flyer. However, during the parade, we see a boy looking flustered upon seeing Kim, while the girl next to him gives him a suspicious glare. Bro is definitely gay. Meanwhile, Kim is more concerned about the payment he received and even plans to charge for the parade. But when he checks, he notices the amount is short. He recalls that he had taken down 2 extras after dealing with the twins, so why was the money short? Just then Dong-gu, seeing his confused expression, reminds him that he was only paid for taking down the twins. The rest was his own deal. But Kim boldly tells him to stop the nonsense and hand over 100,000 won, making the girls watching blush. He adds that Dong-gu's family is rich, so 200,000 won should be pocket change for him. Now Dong-gu grows curious and asks if Kim knew about his wealth from the start. Remembering that he got the information from the guys Dong-gu normally hangs around with, Kim casually comments that it was something everyone in the school knew. He also reminds Dong-gu that he was the one who approached him, not the other way around. So now, he tells the boy to hand over the extra cash, without forgetting to charge extra for the parade. Dong-gu wastes no time agreeing, like a kid promised chocolate. Elsewhere, someone stares intently at the flyer. It turns out to be Seoul Mina, who wonders how Kim looks so perfect. Her friend affirms it, adding that he is very handsome. She also comments that the entire school is buzzing about the news and that people are staring at his flyer. This makes Seoul Mina annoyed, demanding to know what right they have to stare at her man's photo. But then something catches her attention. Kim is truly the hot topic among the girls, and realizing the competition, her fury rises. This only makes her more annoyed, wondering if they have lost their minds. She immediately calls for their attention and orders them to put down the flyer, making everyone in the classroom pause momentarily. Using her authority, she snatches a flyer while warning them never to stare at her future husband. She threatens that it will be their end if she catches them again, and the weak girl immediately affirms her warning. When she approaches another girl, the girl claims she wasn't holding a flyer, but Seoul Mina threatens to search her. Meanwhile, her friend notices her phone buzzing with a notification. She calls Mina, who is still clearly annoyed at the girl's attempts to take Kim. However, she is a bit surprised as she checks her phone. We see a message from a guy named Jang Hyunwoo, demanding a meeting while also issuing a threat. This causes her to stare at her phone in silence for 5 seconds. The scene shifts to the evening, in some kind of abandoned alley. A guy is casually taking a drag from his cigarette while someone reports that he is the next target. It turns out to be our duo, with Dong-gu informing Kim that the guy's name is Jang Hyunwoo, a bully from Cheongil High, popularly known as the King of South Korea. He is also a subordinate of Iljeong Hai's PG Cheol. As a high-ranking member of the 12 Nations, he is known to be a strong fighter. Seoul Mina arrives as Kim asks for more details about the 12 Nations, but Dong-gu dismisses it for later, noting that their main concern right now is dealing with Jang Hyunwoo. Dong-gu continues, explaining that Jang Hyunwoo is a 3-time amateur boxing champion. Thanks to his incredible physique and fighting instincts, which are beyond average, he easily dealt with the twins. But as usual, Kim isn't concerned at all. Instead, he asks if Jang has any companions. Dong-gu tells him to be serious, explaining that Jang Hyunwoo shouldn't be taken lightly because he is known for his brutality. He loves tormenting his victims to the point that they prefer death. With his weird mask, He comments that the guy is a terrifying opponent, so Dong-gu advises Kim to be careful and says he will watch from above, ready to call for an emergency if things go south. But our boy is already long gone, before Dong-gu could even finish his rant about Jang Hyunwoo's brutality. Let's shift to Seoul Mina's meeting. A bit concerned, the guy she meets asks if something is wrong with her. Seeing Ju and Park Kang-wook from school beaten up, he expresses how she's been giving him the cold shoulder, even ditching her friends. But she immediately denies knowing them, quicker than Judas, because they got beaten up by Kim so easily. Meanwhile, Park Kang-wook just stares at her, cursing inwardly. Seeing this, Jang Hyunwoo, while tossing his cigarette, comments that this is exactly why he's interested in her. This makes her question his motives inwardly. Then, a wicked idea kicks in. He suggests and pleads for them to go on a date, promising that she'll learn he's actually a nice guy. This causes her to step back a bit, making him ask why she's feeling so tense. He tells her to trust him, promising he has no ill intent, but his face betrays him. Suddenly, he notices a bottle flying his way. His boxing instincts kick in, and he easily dodges it. Kim sighs in disappointment not far away. He had planned to finish him in one hit, but now things just got more interesting. Meanwhile, Seoul Mina turns bright red upon spotting our boy. Jang Hyunwoo's blood boils as he demands to know Kim's identity. Kim, radiating a chilling aura, doesn't reply but simply states his mission, to teach him a lesson. The girl can only think that he has come to save her. At the same time, Kim turns in her direction, unsure why her presence seems too coincidental. Meanwhile, Seoul Mina realizes that Kim is looking at her suspiciously. Then, he warns her not to try anything funny. She pleads not to be hurt. And what is more interesting is the fact she wasn't resisting. This only makes Jang Hyunwoo's blood boil further, ready to tear Kim apart. Next, he bolts toward Kim, preparing to strike, asking if Kim even knows who he's messing with. Park Kang-wook, watching, immediately recognizes it as his signature move. Dong-gu also recognizes it as a Jang's surprise straight, and hopes for Kim's safety. However, while Jang is in motion, he spots a strange liquid in midair. He shields himself from it, wondering what it is. Using his distraction as an opportunity, our boy begins his counterattack. Throwing a sarcastic remark about him being scared of a surprise attack, Kim accidentally spits on him. Then, his kick lands squarely in Jang's stomach, creating a significant distance. Before he can regain his stance, Kim is already charging toward him, with a stool in hand. Jang Hyunwoo tries to defend himself, wondering where the stool even came from. But our boy pulls off a classic fake-out, delivering an uppercut instead. Jang feels the impact, and immediately thinks Kim must be a psychopath. He promises to kill him. Now it's his turn to attack. Charging once more, he throws a massive straight, but Kim quickly dodges. He leans back slightly to avoid the cross, causing it to only graze his hair. Park Kang-wook, watching, believes Jang Hyunwoo to be a monster with those punches, thinking Kim is outmatched. But contrary to his expectations, Kim was able to land another hit after effortlessly dodging Jang's attacks. Ju turns to Park Kang-wook, almost as if he had read his thoughts. But Park quickly exclaims that he's just overthinking things. Meanwhile, Jang Hyunwoo feels the impact on his right ribs. But our boy is already wielding the same stool, assuring him that nothing is broken, yet. This time, however, the chair lands squarely on his chest. A loud crack echoes as some of his ribs break. Jang Hyunwoo lets out a piercing scream, realizing he can't breathe. He drops to his knees while our boy stands towering over him. Jang Hyunwoo's men just stand there, frozen in disbelief at the unexpected outcome. Even the boy who was used as Jang Hyunwoo's personal stool looks puzzled. Meanwhile, Kim positions the stool once again, turning to Jang Hyunwoo, who is now struggling to breathe through the pain, as he tries to remember something. Dong-gu watches in anticipation, waiting for Kim to deliver his finishing line. But at that moment, our boy blanks out, completely forgetting it, leaving Dong-gu utterly shocked. Still, Kim adlibs, calling Jang Hyunwoo a lowlife and warning him never to act high and mighty again. With a mafia boss-like demeanor, he threatens to destroy him and everything he loves if he hears even a rumor about him acting up again. Meanwhile, Dong-gu panics, noting that this wasn't the plan. They had a completely different objective. At the same time, Seoul Mina is caught up in her own weird fantasy, believing that Kim shouldn't be fighting because of her. And now, she's feeling weak all over again. Elsewhere, someone is being used as a literal punching bag. The guy, mid-beating, is interrupted just before going for another round. He is surprised by the report, Jang Hyunwoo was beaten by someone from Suwon High. He asks for details, wondering if it was a gang that took him down, but immediately dismisses that idea, knowing that gangs are nothing but cowards. However, the scar-faced guy decides right then and there he's going to pay Kim's school a visit. The idea excites him deeply. He is the rank 4 in the nation and his name, Jongbyum. The chapter ends. The next chapter begins with Jongbyum asking if everyone was present. Park Kang-wook looks anxious, wondering why that guy came to their school and decides to hold a summoning. He replies that everyone is present but dislikes the fact that the guy is a junior. He notes that being good at fighting is all it takes to rank up. However, Jongbyum realizes they are fewer in number, prompting Park Kang-wook to inform him about the incident in the cafeteria, which led to some men being hospitalized. When Jongbyum asks about the twins, Kang-wook replies that both are in the hospital due to an explosion. This makes Jongbyum ask what he means, now wondering if Kang-wook thinks he's joking around. Without hesitation, Jongbyum delivers a straight punch to Kang-wook's stomach, immediately grabbing him by the hair. He asks once more in a threatening tone if Kang-wook thinks it's a joke, warning that he wouldn't mind giving him a reality check. Meanwhile, Jongbyum wonders why he keeps getting dragged into other people's mess. Also, he wasn't lying about the twins. Jongbyum tries to ease the tension by patting Kang-wook's head, but the next moment, he's already preparing a slap. Park Kang-wook quickly exclaims that Kim is the one responsible. Jongbyum pauses, and Kang-wook further explains that it wasn't just the twins. Jang Hyunwoo was also involved. Beads of sweat form on Kang-wook's face as he reassures Jongbyum that it was Kim's doing. This piques Jongbyum's interest. He immediately asks where Kim is, itching to see him in person. Meanwhile, in class, we see Kim's flyers neatly stacked. Seoul Mina is lost in thought, clearly thinking about our boy. She recorded him in the cafeteria, and when he noticed, he stopped and warned her that he would take her somewhere out of sight to finish this. Of course, she totally misunderstands, thinking they are perfect together. Meanwhile, the teacher asks if anyone plans to sign up for the theater group. Seoul Mina and her friend immediately raise their hands. The teacher already expected this since the group is quite popular. However, when other students decide to join, Mina immediately gives them a death glare because, in her mind, the group isn't just for anybody. She is already imagining herself winning over Kim, picturing a date with him. This causes everyone to either lose interest or, more accurately, avoid her. The scene shifts to Kim asking about a girl's identity. When he mentions that she's the girl who always stares at him, Dong-gu explains that she is Seoul Mina. But our boy seems suspicious, wondering if her dad sent her. Dong-gu is surprised that Kim is still talking about the Black Head organization. Shifting the conversation, he asks which group Kim joined. Kim replies that he joined the anime club. Dong-gu is stunned, noting that the club is a place for otakus. For someone as handsome and popular as Kim, he questions his motive, wondering how much he plans to take from guys like him. If only he knew that Kim joined because it was the only group available. As their conversation continues, Park Kang-wook suddenly points at Kim, noting that he was the one who dealt with the twins. Actually, our boy busted their balls. Jongbyum immediately tries to reprimand him, but Kim quickly bends down and apologizes. When Jongbyum expresses disbelief that Kim was also the one who messed up Jang Hyunwoo, Park Kang-wook adds that Kim is also obsessed with pork fry, but he is immediately told to be careful. This causes him to remain silent as he discovers that Jongbyum loves pork fries. The group slowly approaches Kim as Dong-gu talks about his application to the club, noting that it will be hard for him to be accepted. But Kim immediately senses danger coming. He stands up abruptly, startling Dong-gu in the process. Kim dashes forward, his eyes locked on his target. Dong-gu calls out to him, wondering what's gotten into him, but Kim ignores him, still dashing toward his target. Park Kang-wook is stunned, realizing Kim is heading toward them. He wonders if Kim is okay in the head. Meanwhile, Jongbyum gets a sly grin, impressed by Kim's boldness and directness in charging toward them. He takes a boxing stance, waiting for Kim, still commenting on his bold move. Quickly, he launches a straight punch, but Kim easily dodges. He launches another, but Kim dodges again. Kim rushes past him, continuing his dash. Jongbyum is enraged, wondering what just happened. It almost feels like he was ignored. Meanwhile, we see Seoul Mina and her friend talking about Kim. Mina insists that Kim should have joined the theater club rather than a low-class club like anime. Well, it turns out she was Kim's target all along. She is both flustered and stunned to see him come out of nowhere. Kim's flyers scatter everywhere. In the next moment, Kim pins her to the ground, demanding to know what her deal is while she tries to remain calm and composed. He asks why she's gathering his flyers and always taking his photos. He also asks if her dad sent her. Once again, she completely misunderstands, asking if Kim's family really knows about her. Meanwhile, Jongbyum watches, clearly annoyed, not because of what he's seeing, but because his punches didn't connect. He charges toward them, expressing his frustration loudly. As he prepares to stomp on Kim, Dong-gu quickly warns him. Kim immediately grabs Mina by the shoulder, easily avoiding the stomp. She, on the other hand, is thrilled. One of her fantasies has just come true. Meanwhile, Jongbyum starts throwing insults and tantrums, while Kim wonders what this fool's problem is. Jongbyum replies with a taunt, warning Kim to run while he has the chance. But our boy already knows that it's impossible. Even if he begs, there's no going back. Unable to hold his anger, Jongbyum lunges toward Kim. Again, Kim sidesteps, easily dodging the hit. Jongbyum throws another punch. Kim dodges like a seasoned boxer, effortlessly evading all attacks. Finally, Kim finds the perfect opening. Just as he prepares to land the punch that will decide the fight, they are interrupted by a teacher. The teacher asks what they are doing. Noticing their uniforms, he realizes they are from a different school and asks for their business. Jongbyum sighs in frustration, commenting that Kim is lucky. Upset at the bad timing, he rustles his pocket, pulling out a cigarette. Before leaving, he threatens Kim, reminding him that it isn't over and that he hopes to see him after school. With that, he orders his boys to leave. However, just as he turns, Jongbyum is suddenly knocked out. The teacher stands there, wide-eyed and in disbelief. Dong-gu watches the whole thing like it's a theatrical performance. Our boy knocked the fool out, calling him trash for throwing insults. We then see someone biting his fingers. It's Park Kang-wook, wondering why Kim acted like that. Even worse, Kim just knocked out the fourth ranker, and now Kang-wook is worried about the consequences. Dong-gu thinks the same, noting that Kim just crossed a dangerous line. He hasn't even taken down the mid-boss, and he's already heading for the final boss. The scene transitions to another building. Inside, we see someone pouring boiling water. Unfortunately, it lands on a guy tied up, who screams in pain. A tattooed guy tells him that this is his punishment for trying to run away. Then, he turns his attention to the girl next to him, commenting on how he helped them by providing for them, and this is how they repay him. She trembles as he brings a cigarette closer, reminding her of the punishment for runaways. Just as he inches closer, planning to make her one-eyed, she sees impending doom. Thankfully, his phone rings, interrupting him. He picks it up, complaining about the bad timing. The girl falls to the ground in relief, gasping for breath. When he answers the call, he is surprised to hear that Jongbyum went to Kim's school, Suming High. The man is revealed to be Jong Chan, the number 2 in the ranking. The ranking system in Korea is then explained. It consists of the 12 most influential students. To give you a rough idea, they're next in line to become gangsters or mafia bosses. They call them the 12 national delinquents. We then see Kim on toilet duty as a disciplinary action, calling them punks and wondering why people are making such a big deal out of them. Annoyed, he tells Dong-gu to leave, but the guy tries to explain just how serious his situation is. Dong-gu expresses how this wasn't part of the plan. Thanks to Kim's recklessness, they're now involved with the 12, and worse, the first group, known as the First Police, will be coming for them. He explains how the First Police are infamous for their ruthlessness, but Kim thinks Dong-gu is exaggerating, noting that these people haven't even cut off someone's limbs before, so they don't know what true cruelty is. Now this puts Dong-gu on edge, and he asks if Kim has actually done it before. Meanwhile, our boy is pissed because he got dragged into this mess. Now everything is a huge burden. He tells Dong-gu he's done and suggests he look for a part-time job instead, leaving Dong-gu in disbelief. Desperate to change his decision, Dong-gu points out that he earns way more than any part-time job could offer, even paying severance costs. But Kim, looking at him like his next target, coldly tells him to get lost. This sends chills down Dong-gu's spine. Now let's shift to the scene after school. Dong-gu is lost in thought, reminiscing about the time he got bullied by the fool in a previous chapter. He remembers how annoyed he felt in response to the provocation. Unfortunately, the fool spots Kim. At the same time, he remembers the warning on the flyers. With that, the fool quickly apologizes for messing around, trying to ease the tension. Shifting to the present, Dong-gu believes it's all over. He recalls how he and his friends were able to get snacks for themselves. Not to mention, he never found thumbtacks on his seat in class. At this point, he thinks it's all over. he has to go back to being bullied. But his daydream is interrupted when one of Jongbyum's boys crosses his arm over his shoulder, recognizing him. Dong-gu is momentarily stunned, beads of sweat forming on his face. Let's shift to Jongbyum, who is gritting his teeth after waiting for Kim at the school gate. Dong-gu is brought to him, and while on his knees, he insists he has no idea where Kim is. Immediately, he receives a kick to the face from Jongbyum, causing him to lose his glasses. Jongbyum calls Dong-gu an idiot, telling him he should have called if he didn't know where Kim was. Meanwhile, Dong-gu trembles, holding his bleeding nose. As he dials Kim's number, he suddenly makes a bold move, calling the police instead. Immediately, he's caught red-handed by Jongbyum's men, and he knows this spells doom for him. Time passes. Dong-gu is getting beaten up by Jongbyum's members, who think he's crazy for even thinking about calling the police. All he can do is endure the pain as the fools throw insults and tantrums at him. Now let's proceed to Kim's interview. The employer is surprised that Kim has no part-time job experience. Even more shocking is the fact that our boy's skill set is in close combat and weapons. Kim basically has the best assassin resume. When he mentions that he's also skilled in certification, in other words, identity forgery, the employer is left completely confused, thinking Kim must be delusional. The employer comments that his resume is impressive and all, but this is a restaurant. In the middle of thinking about what job would suit Kim, the restaurant door creaks open. Immediately, the customers start getting restless, drawing attention. The employer recognizes them instantly. Excusing himself, he adds that Kim isn't someone they need in the restaurant, but he's welcome as a customer. Meanwhile, the chubby guy complains about how his stomach always hurts after eating here. He claims he even found black stuff, seemingly an insect, in his burger. Immediately, another customer becomes anxious, but his friend calls him a fool, telling him it's just an olive. The employer understands their tactic, so he bluntly asks why they're acting up. Chubby guy hesitates, asking what he means. Just as he's about to start ranting, the employer grabs his hand, suggesting they talk in his office. At the same time, he instructs the cashier to prepare some money while offering the guy a free drink as compensation. Meanwhile, chubby guy, deep in some kind of roleplay, dramatically demands the employer unhand him. He claims it's violence since he's a minor and plans to report it. Accidentally, he bumps into Kim. Immediately, he glares at Kim like an animal spotting its prey. But our boy just stares, a bit confused about the sudden hostility. Anyways, let's shift back to Dong-gu. Jongbyum's boys complain about how Dong-gu doesn't have a single contact on his phone. This only complicates things for Jongbyum, who expresses his frustration, noting he wasted time waiting for Kim at the school gate. Before leaving, he makes sure to throw one last insult at Dong-gu, calling him useless. With that, they all walk away, leaving the poor guy alone. Meanwhile, we see the second ranker, John Chan from Iljiang High School, asking about the newly formed tax collection team. A guy in a blue hoodie replies, informing him that they've increased the tax to 50,000 won. His name is Choi Hae-chang, the fifth ranker at the same school. Pleased, John Chan instructs them to check out the newly formed team before heading back. At the same time, Kim passes by him unnoticed. Shifting to the restaurant, they're in disbelief upon spotting the newly formed tax collectors beaten to a pulp. For a moment, a vein visibly pops on John Chan's face as he ponders who could have done this. He turns, noticing the anxious expressions of the people inside the restaurant. He quickly concludes none of them are responsible, judging by their reactions. But then he realizes something. Even though he wasn't paying much attention, he notices small bloodstains on Kim's uniform. Immediately, he orders them to grab Kim, leaving Choi Hae-chang confused. Then, he yells for them to do it now without repeating himself. Shifting to Kim, casually walking and sipping his drink, he realizes he doesn't have much money for next month's expenses. As he thinks about how to make some cash, he pauses upon spotting Dong-gu. Before Kim can ask about his business, Dong-gu reminds him that he once said he was coming for an interview. He was just checking. With his beaten and bruised face, he chuckles, relieved Kim is okay. But Kim takes a moment to process the situation, asking if Dong-gu got into a fight. Before he can reply, Choi Hae-chang calls out to Kim from a distance, feeling irritated. Kim immediately senses trouble. Choi arrogantly introduces himself, ordering Kim to come to him. But when he doesn't get a reply, he angrily yells, wondering if something is wrong with Kim's ears. Meanwhile, our boy smirks. He's found his next victim. He asks if the 50,000 won offer still stands. Dong-gu's expression softens, flashing a radiant smile. He agrees, but adds, no severance pay, though. Choi Hai-chang starts throwing a tantrum. Feeling completely ignored, he decides to take Kim out. But in the next moment, Kim's drink lands in his face. Immediately, Kim grabs the fool and before he could understand, he slams him to the ground. Choi Hai-chang screams in pain. Meanwhile, Kim is already prepared to finish him. Choi's followers are horrified, sweating bullets, wishing they wore brown pants. And Kim, he's not letting them leave, because the bonus offer still stands. Well, we all know what's about to happen. Next, we see our boy enjoying his meal. Dong-gu describes the meal as a legendary masterpiece, listing a bunch of random spices used to make it. Now eager to hear Kim's opinion, he waits for a response. But Kim calmly replies that adding fried pork would make it even better, causing Dong-gu to exclaim in surprise. Anyway, Kim shifts the conversation to his performance bonus, demanding to know how much Dong-gu is giving him. But Dong-gu says he'll think about it. Suddenly, Kim suggests 5 million won out of nowhere. Dong-gu is bewildered, but our boy immediately adds a condition. Within a week, Iljiang High School will be exterminated. Dong-gu pauses for a moment, then bursts out laughing, thinking he just heard the funniest joke of his life. After regaining his composure, he asks why Kim even needs that much money. Our boy simply reminds him that his father froze his account. His friend wonders why he's bringing up the Blackhead organization, leading Kim to ask a puzzling question. He explains that his friend is a rich kid who lacks nothing, yet still gets bullied. The guy could easily transfer to a private school. Also, Kim asks if his parents aren't concerned about the injuries he comes home with. Dong-gu takes his time before revealing that both his parents aren't in Korea. Kim remains calm but advises him to stop getting beaten up and grinding like an idiot, noting that this is why people see him as a fool. Anyway, Kim prepares to leave, surprising his friend that he's already going. Regardless, he waves him off, wishing him a safe trip home. At the same time, Seoul-mina spots Kim, looking a bit surprised, while Kim sighs, realizing it's her. Now, let's shift to Jang-chan, who has just discovered that his followers were trashed by our boy. Frustrated and annoyed, he immediately instructs them to message Park Kang-wook, ordering them to bring him. However, when the poor guy sees the message, he sighs, wondering aloud what he did this time. A quick rundown of the top 3 delinquents. They all attend the same school, Iljiang High, which holds control over the southwest region of Korea. Students who enroll in this school usually have no choice due to their circumstances. Some have juvenile records, while others have issues that prevent them from attending regular schools. In short, it's the worst school. It's lawless inside. Students even have separate rooms just for smoking. Not to mention, the teachers aren't normal either. They take bribes and turn a blind eye to illegal activities. Rumor has it that the principal is a former gangster. But that's not even the biggest issue. The real problem, the leader of the 12 ranks of delinquents. His name is PG Cheol. This guy is a monster who single-handedly unified the entire Iljiang High with brute force. He rakes in money through illegal means, robbery, insurance fraud, restaurant tax collection, and even worse crimes, including juvenile sex offenses. Rumors say PG Cheol is so brutal that he has even killed someone. Dong-gu explains all of this to Kim as they stand in front of the school. He wants to know if our boy realizes what he's doing, entering this school armed with a rifle. But Kim is more concerned about where Dong-gu got his weird mask. Anyway, as they enter, Kim assures him it's just rubber bullets, which are consumable, and also reminds him to keep his promise about the 5 million won. But Dong-gu urges him to stop with the nonsense, advising that they should head back since even the police don't take reports related to Iljiang High seriously. Meanwhile, Kim thinks that's great news, making Dong-gu sure that our boy is crazy. While walking, they spot 2 students. Kim wastes no time asking if one of them is PG Cheol, but his friend tells him no. However, the fool recognizes their uniforms as Suming Highs and wonders what they're doing here, if they have a death wish mentioning PG Cheol so casually. And just like that, a gunshot rings out. The fool immediately screams in agony, and just as quickly, he is silenced with a headshot. His smoking partner is left bewildered. Now, turning to our boy, the remaining student bolts toward him, fist clenched. But Kim remains unfazed, easily countering with a kick, then firing a shot at the fool's foot. For the finishing blow, he uses the gun as a bat, smashing it straight into the guy's shoulder, the crack of his collarbone echoing through the air. The fool screams in pain, clutching both his foot and shoulder. But Kim points the rifle at his head. With a murderous gaze, he demands, he brings PG Chio. Now, let's shift to Jongbyum. He's just now noticing the numbness in his neck from Kim's elbow strike. However, since today is the class tax collection, he plans to chase Kim later. But he can't help but wonder, what is all this noise? What's happening in the school? Suddenly, one of his boys bursts into the room, exclaiming that they have a huge problem. Jongbyum, annoyed, asks, what? Did PG Chio finally show up or something? But his lackey, still trying to catch his breath, explains, no, it's him, the brat from Suming High. This makes Jongbyum furious, but also excited. Now he doesn't have to waste time looking for him. Meanwhile, let's check on Park Kang-wook, the unfortunate scapegoat. It turns out Jang Chan is also receiving this information, but he angrily tells the person on the other end. Speak properly, he said in annoyance. Park Kang-wook, on the other hand, is just wondering, why the hell is he even involved in this madness? Meanwhile, Kim is still rampaging through Iljiang High. The girls are flustered seeing Kim and ask if any of them is PG Chio, causing Dong-gu to inform him that their leader is a guy. Kim casually turns to him and states, he should have told him earlier. Suddenly, he senses something coming. He tilts his head slightly, dodging the projectile with ease. It turns out to be a juice box. Jongbyum, standing there, comments, this guy's crazy. Now curious to know his identity, because his stupidity just led him straight into the lion's den. Actually, they're trapped with him, no, the other way around. Anyway, Kim immediately pulls the trigger. They all flinch and shield themselves. Their battle IQ 0. Kim sighs, realizing the clip is empty. Now, the rifle is useless. Immediately, Jongbyum sees this as an opportunity and charges at him. But Kim easily dodges, skilled in close combat. While reaching for something, Jongbyum notices, wondering, what is he hiding? And he trying to pull out. But before he can react, Kim strikes. Jongbyum let his guard down. Our boy is a pro at faking. Meanwhile, the teachers are stunned by the aftermath caused by Kim. The new teacher hesitantly asks if they should call the police. But the male teacher explains, events like this are common in this school, then reminds her of the principal, advising her to stay out of student affairs. But still, the male teacher is taken aback. Even during PG Chio's reign, he hasn't seen chaos like this. Not to mention, the surveillance cameras went black. Their phones have no signal. Now, he's really curious. What the hell is happening inside this school? Next, we shift to someone lifting weights. One of his subordinates watches in amazement as he lifts 200 kilograms like it's nothing. The guy gulps down his protein shake, complimenting the taste before demanding, what's going on? His direct subordinate reports, there's been an urgent command. All executives are to meet in 20 minutes. When he asks why, he's surprised to learn a spy has infiltrated the school, and his name is Park Jinju, ranked number 3 in the nation and attends Iljiang High. Let's shift to Jongbyum's past. He was known for his special talent in boxing. The guy easily trashed kids from higher classes than him. As a result, he became cocky, and when Park Kang-wook's subordinates expressed interest in befriending him, he refused. He didn't see himself as being on the same level as others. This was his life, refusing to feel inferior. To him, life meant having the power to control everything. The freak was excited. Bullying was in his genes. Shifting to the present, he attacks Kim, but Kim dodges. Unable to land a hit, Jongbyum continues lashing out in desperation, wondering why he can't land a single punch. But then, Kim suddenly counters with a broom, explaining the difference in reach, causing Jongbyum to stagger back. Regaining his footing, he comes up with a plan. He quickly charges, closing the gap in an instant. However, Kim easily dodges some more, countering with a destructive uppercut that lands right on Jongbyum's chin, sending him flying. As Jongbyum tries to recover, he suddenly notices an incoming kick. Thankfully, he manages to dodge Kim's strike for once. At the same time, he feels something terrifying. He doesn't know who Kim is or where he came from. Jongbyum's hand trembles as he realizes Kim threw a casual kick with enough force to be a soccer kick. And what's even more terrifying, he could have died if that kick had landed. Was Kim actually trying to end him? But Kim's sudden compliment on his quick reflexes interrupts his thoughts. Wielding the broom like a weapon, Kim announces that he plans to cripple Jongbyum. He reminds him of his previous statement back at school, noting that begging is always an option. Jongbyum was screwed the moment he attacked him, leaving Dong-gu bewildered. Now, Kim proceeds with Operation Cripple Jongbyum. He warns him that he won't be able to walk. Bro just outright threatened him. Jongbyum glares at Kim, gritting his teeth in frustration. This was a huge blow to his ego, and for someone like him, who hates feeling inferior, this only fuels his rage. With clenched teeth, he immediately charges, throwing a huge uppercut while throwing a tantrum. He follows up with another straight punch. Kim easily dodges. Jongbyum yells, demanding to know if Kim even understands where he is. But Kim doesn't respond. Instead, he counterattacks, landing a clean punch that makes Jongbyum spit out blood. Next, Kim unleashes a barrage of attacks, JoJo style. And finally, he delivers a one-punch man-style strike, landing it squarely on Jongbyum. The impact is so massive that Jongbyum's direct subordinates start praying silently. After the strike, the fool somersaults multiple times. His men watch in awe, overwhelmed by Kim's strength. Meanwhile, Kim watches Jongbyum coughing and groaning in pain. He approaches him, exuding a murderous aura. Kim answers his earlier question, stating that this was just a school, nothing special. And for the first time, Jongbyum experiences fear. He realizes he is completely outmatched. Immediately, he turns to his subordinates, ordering them to deal with Kim instead of standing around like pathetic fools. However, they hesitate, beads of sweat visible on their faces. This only fuels Jongbyum's desperation. He orders them again to take Kim down, but the guys refuse to obey. Obviously, anyone would lose the will to fight after watching Kim. Now, let's switch scenes. At Iljeon High, the phone service is down. Jong Chan looks furious that no one is answering his calls, throwing a tantrum. At the same time, he is walking through the hallway of Kim's school, and the students recognize him, wondering what he's doing there. Suddenly, the disciplinary teacher, Won Dukyeol, appears, instructing the students to stop loitering, wondering why Iljeong High students are frequenting the school. Not sure if it was a good idea to order around people who look like walking disasters though. Anyways, Jong Chan continues moving with his crew, making Won question why he's being ignored. However, he crosses a line, throwing out insults straight from a Call of Duty lobby. Jong Chan sighs. He approaches Wang, who stands like some mid-boss in a game, hands in his pockets. Wang sees this and questions his business at the school. The next moment, all the Seoul Mina and students in the hallway are shocked, horrified, and bewildered. Jong Chan advises Wang to always remember who he's talking to before acting like a teacher. Wang is unable to process what just happened. He falls to the ground. He was just stabbed by Jong Chan. Now, annoyed that the teacher made his hands dirty, Jong Chan didn't forget to even spit on him. That's another level of disrespect. Anyways, he orders one of his crew members to clean up while handing the knife to him. Jong Chan states that the fool will be the one to take the blame. The guy is shocked as Jong Chan continues instructing him to confiscate all phones and report him to a specific police captain, Chung-sik, noting that it'll only be a 2-year sentence. And just like that, the fool literally accepts going to jail in Jong Chan's place. This guy is clearly some kind of monster. Now let's transition back to Iljeon High. Jongbyum is bleeding. As promised, Kim broke the fool's ankle. Now, he advises him to see a doctor and undergo proper rehab if he doesn't want to be permanently crippled. Meanwhile, the fool just laughs menacingly. Kim is unsure what Jongbyum is laughing at, adding that he wouldn't mind breaking his wrist too. Jongbyum responds by asking if Kim even understands what he's done, throwing threats and warnings about their leader. But Kim isn't concerned. One of Jongbyum's subordinates chimes in, stating that Kim will most likely die. Our boy calls it a load of crap and demands to know PG Cheol's location. Out of nowhere, someone delivers a massive strike to Kim's head. Dong-gu, concerned, screams his name. It turns out Park Jinju is the one responsible for interrupting his workout. However, Dong-gu is astonished. The kick landed on Kim's head, but our boy blocked it like it was nothing, despite the size difference. Kim's gaze sharpens as he asks if Park Jinju is PG. The fool, now shirtless, affirms, trying to intimidate Kim with his muscles. Dong-gu knows that's a lie. Anyone can see through minus our boy, of course. Before we proceed, the scene shifts to a coastal region under the downpour of heavy rain. A ship is docked there. Inside, bodies hang like stored beef. And one, in particular, is Kang Deok-chun, ranked number 4 among the delinquents, probably the spy mentioned previously. At the same time, PG Cheol receives a call. Listening to the briefing, he asks for the person's name. After a moment of silence, it's revealed that the topic of conversation is our boy. Let's shift to Kim's fight with Park Jinju. Park Jinju shielded himself from the sprayed liquid, thinking Kim was some lunatic as he launched an attack. However, our boy dodged easily, pulling out a cleaning towel out of nowhere and using it to strike the fool. At the same time, Jongbyum's crew watched, bewildered, with no understanding of how Kim was overwhelming Park Jinju with just cleaning tools. Frustrated, Park Jinju struck while throwing tantrums, calling Kim a coward for fighting dirty. However, our boy was a slippery one, easily dodging and leaving the impact visible on the wall behind him. Park Jinju followed up with a kick, which Kim dodged once more, causing him to grit his teeth and clench his fists tightly. At the same time, Kim used the towel to wrap around Park Jinju's arm rather than dodging, immediately following up with a knee strike. The big guy easily recovered, feeling like Kim was driving him crazy. He went for a grapple but missed. At the same time, Kim prepared the spray attack once more, leaving Park Jinju stunned momentarily. Despite his shielding his face, the liquid entered his nose as he complained. Kim seized the opportunity to strike a devastating punch, causing Park Jinju to stagger backward this time. After recovering, he muttered a curse to Park under his breath. Next, he charged with fury in his eyes, noting that he wouldn't fall for such underhanded tricks again. Kim suddenly tossed his jacket towards him at the same time, immediately delivering a kick to Park Jinju's face. This time, the fool somersaulted like trash. Now, Jongbyum's crew's expressions changed instantly. But this guy didn't know when to give up, wanting to insult Kim. However, our boy was already charging toward him to deliver a final knee strike. The fool just watched, already knowing it was the end. The impact nearly broke the locker. Also, it resonated throughout the entire school. And now, Park Jinju was completely out. Well, having big gains doesn't make much difference in a fight, I guess. However, our boy, feeling himself, muttered, "The first stage has been cleared," leaving Dong-gu utterly bewildered. But Kim replied, stating they had caught PG Cheol. While Jongbyum's crew was still processing what had happened, realizing Park Jinju didn't even land a single hit, they now wondered about Kim's identity. Meanwhile, our boy is already demanding his pay from Dong-gu. As they left the school, Dong-gu explained he got the wrong person, but Kim still insists on getting paid. Looking at Jongbyum's friend's face, things were not looking good when PG Cheol returned. Anyways, time passed gradually, and Jang Chan finally arrived at Iljeong High, witnessing Kim's aftermath firsthand. With his blood vessels pulsing, he let out a loud sigh in frustration. The scene transitioned to the next day at the anime club. Dong-gu's friend talked about the recent incident of Jang Chan coming to school and Mr. Wang being hospitalized. Kim dismissed the topic, noting they took down PG Cheol, meaning Jang Chan would never come back. Dong-gu replied, explaining it was the wrong person, also interested to know where Kim found lunch since it was Saturday. Kim told him he found it in the staff cafeteria, leaving Dong-gu stunned, as that was meant for teachers. But Kim wasn't the least bit concerned, asking why he was making a fuss. Anyways, Dong-gu brought back the main topic about their actions at Iljeong High, and the boys were stunned. But he quickly suggested they visit Mr. Wang. However, Kim immediately refused to join them. Dong-gu was dissatisfied with his reply, but Kim stuck to his guns. In truth, the guy was just worried about walking alone after the school incident. Right on cue, our favorite girl showed up in a peculiar outfit. Dong-gu was surprised to see her, asking what she was doing in the wrong club. But she completely ignored him as she greeted our boy, explaining her sudden interest in watching anime, or rather, hentai. Meanwhile, Kim is already pointing a gun barrel at her head, now asking her about her sudden interest. But Sol Mina, as usual, took his threats as a flirtatious move. The chubby guy spoke, explaining the gun model and asking Kim if he could hold it. Kim immediately wasted no time making money. Anyways, the scene changed to the hospital. Inside one of the rooms, someone expressed relief that the wound wasn't life-threatening. She also added that he should take a break and recover. Brushing it off, Mr. Wang explained he would be back in school the following week. The lady now sitting close to him reminded him that he was no longer in his prime. Meanwhile, Dong-gu and Sol Mina were already at the hospital to visit, but she was more concerned about our boy not coming. Immediately, his expression darkened upon hearing her question. Remembering Kim didn't want to come because Mr. Wang made him clean the toilet during the Jongbyum incident at school. And what was even more shocking was the fact he jumped from the 3rd floor of the school. This made her frustrated due to his lack of response, asking what the point of visiting the hospital without Kim was. Dong-gu immediately questioned her, telling her to forget about it. Annoyed, he told her to leave, making her frustrated since they all came to visit. Arriving at Wang's room, he discovered he had a visitor. Wang's wife suddenly asked Mr. Wang how long they had been married. He replied 20 years, making her express deep concern about his actions. Well, she knew everything about her husband, basically. Meanwhile, Kim changed his mind and was now present at the hospital. The reason was during the disciplinary meeting with Mr. Wang, who commented that Kim must be the man of the house since he lived with his mom and younger siblings. Then, he handed Kim his number, instructing him to call if he ever needed help. Also, giving him fatherly advice, telling our boy not to do things he would regret in the future. After all, a man's pride is everything he has. Remembering this, Kim sighed, believing it best to hand over his gift and disappear quickly. Next, he spotted Sol Mina and Donggu waiting outside, feeling a bit puzzled. Meanwhile, inside, Wang was literally crying. Complaining about his situation is more than humiliating, asking how he was supposed to face the students after being stabbed and humiliated by someone old enough to be his son, believing that with this, he couldn't even look the students in the eye. Meanwhile, the group that planned to visit just remained outside Wang's room, allowing him to let out his frustration. At the same time, in Zhang Chan's house, we saw someone tied up and bleeding, and we also saw PG Chiol asking if the incident at school was caused by one person, to which Zhang Chan agreed without fault. Trembling, he admitted his mistake and pleaded for a second chance to fix it. But PG Chiol disagreed, commenting that if Zhang Chan was serious, Kim would already be present. By the way, the tied-up fool was actually Zhongbyam's right hand. Now, PG Chiol told him to kindly take responsibility, hoping Zhang Chan understood. Loudly, he swore loyalty, promising to take responsibility and receive any punishment. PG Chiol suddenly tossed him a pair of scissors, telling him he wanted 10 million won, or rather $10,000, you get the point, in a week, and he should leave his left earlobe behind. He wasted no time agreeing to cut off his earlobe. Lastly, he demanded that he bring Kim within 3 days. The guy was definitely a monster. The next chapter begins at a game cafe. Inside, Donggu reminds Kim about his previous statement of him always seeming like an idiot, but Kim is clueless about it, leading Donggu into disbelief, while Sol Mina cheers his gaming skills. However, Donggu explains he wasn't always called an idiot from the start. Remembering when he was bullied, he adds it wasn't because he was dumb, but Kim retorts, stating getting beat up every day makes Donggu a fool. When Donggu tries to reprimand him for his remark, Kim doesn't respond to focus on playing the game. At the same time, Sol Mina gestures for him to buzz off, not wanting him to interrupt their date. This makes him a bit annoyed, being ignored by them. Seeing he wasn't getting anywhere with them, he decides to leave, wondering why he was even bothering himself in the first place. He's sure Kim will come back for money as he packs his takeout. Just as he was about to leave, Kim immediately stops him, while he wonders if his plan just worked. Kim tells him that the takeout belongs to him. Donggu immediately protests, furious because he paid for it in the first place. The scene changes to outside the city at the same time. Two people have a conversation with Kim being the topic discussed. Choi Hyachang is losing it that Park Kang-wook doesn't know about Kim or Donggu's whereabouts, but he tries to explain that he doesn't have their number. As usual, he is already messed up as he wonders why he is always dragged into their mess despite doing nothing. Immediately, Choi Hyachang punches him in the gut, following up with a free kick, now throwing tantrums and insults as he stomps on him. At the same time, onlookers just watch like it's some street performance. Enduring the beatdown, Park Kang-wook grits his teeth, still wondering why he was getting beat up. At the same time, Zhang Chan shows up as one of his underlings warns people to mind their business. Choi Hyachang grabs Park Kang-wook by the hair, warning him he has an hour to provide Kim or Donggu. Park Kang-wook is at his breaking point, pondering his situation and wondering why people are just watching rather than calling the cops. Suddenly, he spots a familiar figure from a distance. Donggu watches, looking stunned, quickly deciding to look for the nearest exit. Immediately, a chill sends down his spine as Park Kang-wook points him out, loudly calling him out, throwing as many curses at him as possible. The next moment, he is caught. How didn't he escape in time? Who knows? Anyways, we see him bruised and beat up. Meanwhile, Choi Hyachang furiously reports to Zhang Chan that the guy wouldn't talk, certain he will pass out if hit once more. Zhang Chan comments, wondering why weaklings like Donggu are making this more complex. Donggu is scared seeing him in person. Next, Zhang Chan asks if he doesn't know who they are. Suddenly, he pulls out a knife, asking if he hasn't heard the rumor, like bro is planning to send another person to jail. Donggu recalls the scene very well. All Zhang Chan wants is Kim to be lured out by him, and he wasn't asking. Further adding taunts, stating he should look at his situation. What can someone as weak as him even do? This brings unpleasant memories for Dong-gu, remembering his father scolding a younger him with the same words. Now, he instructs Dong-gu to lure Kim to their hideout, promising to let him go after the aftermath, calling him an idiot. Dong-gu suddenly replies that he wasn't an idiot. Jang-chan guesses he heard wrong, but he firmly sticks to his guns, repeating his exact words. Bro grew balls as he called Jang-chan and his crew a bunch of fools. Park Kang-wook watches this, wondering if Dong-gu got hit too hard, sure that he has lost it. At the same time, Jang-chan lets out a menacing laugh. The next moment, a slice is delivered to his face. It took time before the pain registered in his brain. Then he lets out an ear-piercing scream, but Jang-chan immediately shuts his mouth abruptly. Threateningly, he tells him to read the situation. Him talking to Dong-gu doesn't mean he is something special. Further throwing tantrums and hurling insults at him, he turns serious. Kim's advice is the only thing lingering in his head, which fuels his determination. Showing a sly grin, Jang-chan asks if he doesn't understand what he is saying. Anyways, he decides to knock some sense into him. The strike sends blood splattering from his nose. He is hit to the point Park Kang-wook worries, wondering why he was resisting so badly, if something has gotten into him. After he passes out from being hit, Jang-chan sighs and notes Dong-gu is annoying, ordering his crew to make sure he tells them how to get Kim when he wakes up. Suddenly Dong-gu calls out to Jang-chan, making him pause abruptly. Seeing he got his attention, he starts by saying they are the ones who are wrong, asking why people like him are called idiots. Park Kang-wook is almost pulling his hair out, seeing Dong-gu still resisting. Pointing to Jang-chan, he curses, calling them idiots and fools. Jang-chan's eyelid twitches and turns bloodshot. Loudly, he curses with all his might, making Jang-chan pull out his knife once more, warning Dong-gu to take a good look at himself. Approaching Dong-gu, he tells him that he is all bleeding and still running his mouth, asking if he is delusional. Wanting to remove one of his eyes, asking him if he will still talk about it. Just as he was close to carrying out his plan, a shot rang out, leading him to face the direction of the sound. It's our boy who complains, knowing he told Dong-gu to add rubber bullets. Regardless, he walks forward, tossing the useless pistol aside. Immediately, Choi Hye-chang recognizes him as the troublemaker from the burger shop, making Jang-chan stare at him like some predator that found its prey. But Kim is more concerned for his friend. He notes he switched their phones on purpose. Seeing his phone screen completely shattered, he asks for the person that did it. Seeing no response, he turns and discovers his takeout is ruined. Annoyed, he comments Jang-chan deserves a good beating, warning he will go all out. But the fool's lips curl into a wicked smile. In a mocking tone, he is excited to meet Kim. However, the next moment, Kim strikes, leaving no time to even react. Clearly, Jang-chan is going to wish he died as a child. Before we proceed, the Silindong Golden Bar karaoke incident is explained. The incident is centered on a gang that ruled the Silindong district called Fervent Youth. The gang uses young girls their age to press the cops and gradually expand their influence to the point the cops got hesitant to get involved with the troublesome group of teens. And it wasn't eventually long before they all collapsed by the hands of someone. The day it happened was the leader of the Fervent Youth's birthday, hosted at the Golden Bar Karaoke. 21 members gathered to celebrate when the karaoke room doors slowly creaked open. And the person we see, Solo, 21 members of the most troublesome gang at the time, leaving them barely clinging to life. Also, the person was just 13 years old at the time. And that person is our boy, the current victim, Jang-chan. Back to the present, Choi Hye-chang is in utter disbelief. Jang-chan became popular due to the Golden Bar Karaoke incident, and spread his influence. However, he's having a hard time facing Kim, who dodged his strike with ease, even dodging his slice, making him more furious and enraged. Kim, dodging, suddenly spots Jang-chan's opening. Seizing the opportunity, he prepares to strike. Jang-chan predicts the strike coming from below but receives an uppercut squarely, unable to react in time. Staggering, he wonders why he can't dodge Kim's strike despite seeing it coming. Regaining his footing, frustrated, he asks what our boy did to him. Before he could vent his frustration loudly, he felt his ribs crack, making him cry out in pain. But Kim just asks why he is being blamed for him being so weak. And the reason for his frustration is that Jang-chan hasn't gotten enough beatings, which he will enjoy fixing. Kim's taunt causes Jang-chan's blood to boil and his vessels to pulse, making him charge directly at Kim to fight once more. Kim dodges his first strike. Our boy also dodges the second strike, making Jong Chan realize that Kim is a slippery one. Next, Jong Chan sees Kim's strike coming. As usual, he is unable to dodge, tanking the hit. He wonders why he can't dodge Kim's hit again despite seeing it coming. It's almost as if Kim has a gun barrel at his face, and his speed is too fast to dodge. However, Kim follows up with relentless strikes that send the fool flying. But he quickly regains his footing, leading Kim to compliment him. Since Jong Chan has a sturdy body, it means our boy can keep hitting him as much as he wants. Shocked, Park Kang-wook believes Kim is crazy. Well, the reason for the beatdown wasn't because of Dong-gu but rather his takeout being ruined. Now seriously, Kim gestures for Jong Chan to come forward, but the guy is clearly hesitant and shaken. Seeing no response, Kim repeats his classic from Jongbyum, letting the fool consider which part of his body he should break, now shooting him a death glare, making him express fear for the second time in his life. Too scared to move, he turns to his buddy, but the chubby guy, having experienced Kim firsthand, believes it's best to stay clear of trouble. Funny how these guys enjoy beatdowns but cower at the first sight of danger. Next, Kim makes the decision for him, declaring he will fracture the fool's jaw. Jong Chan can see the punch coming and knows he can't dodge it. Taking it is out of the question. Scared, he screams, falling to the ground in surrender. Choi Hyachang is stunned, seeing Jong Chan acting like a coward for the first time. Meanwhile, Jong Chan thinks everything doesn't make sense. He believes Kim to be some kind of demon from hell. At the same time, Kim stares at him, puzzled. Suddenly, he delivers a kick to his jaw. Just like at Iljeong High, he declares his mission to break his jaw is completed. Next, he turns to Jong Chan's crew. The fools are scared out of their wits. However, before we can find out what happens, the scene changes to a building belonging to the runaway gang, Tiger Clan. Inside, we see bodies piled up, and PG Cheol is pissed at the leader for refusing his offer. They have already made so much profit, so he asks how much more they plan to continue, using his chopsticks to stab the guy's thigh, leading him to scream loudly in pain. Using the chopsticks, he gives them 2 days to finish their business, and after that, his gang must become his subordinates. The guy immediately affirms. Next, PG Cheol puts down the bowl of noodles, assuring the guy he will take his word and instructing him to finish his meal, and the guy should have a nice day before leaving the fool. Immediately, his subordinate calls out to him. He is the Iljeong High School Action Squad captain, Hyukchul. He reports to him about the situation of Jong Chan, making PG Cheol ask for his phone. Taking his phone, he dials Jong Chan, only to be surprised that the person on the other end wasn't him. Immediately, PG Cheol pictures what just happened. Kim dealt with Jong Chan's entire crew. When he opens the door, Kim is standing right in front of him. Now our boy has found his next target. However, PG Cheol is excited. Bro is definitely a psychopath. The scene changes to a restaurant. Inside, 2 people have a conversation about the incident at Iljeong High. The guy in striped clothes starts by asking the principal if they will let the matter slide, no matter the school's reputation and occurring incidents. Letting an outsider commit this is out of the question. The man is worried about the incident getting to the media or students' parents. Immediately, the principal reprimands him. Well, this is a rumored gangster school we are seeing. He asked if he thinks decent children are sent to their school in the first place. He further explains that the children attending the school are orphans or have parents who have given up on them, deciding it's best to brush it aside, commenting that no one gives a damn about a terrible school like theirs. However, the man still shows some concern, but the principal advises him not to make a fuss about it. He also explains that the incident is something they shouldn't get involved with, adding that something really bad got involved. Before he could explain, the scene shifts to Kim, who just kicked Hyukchul out of a window. Hyukchul grits his teeth, seeing himself falling into a dangerous position. Mid-air, he adjusts his landing posture, using the gained momentum to break the fall, landing successfully without harm. Kim is impressed, understanding that the guy used a break-fall technique to control his landing. For him, Kim jumps from the floor like it was nothing, landing like a hero in front of Hyukchul. Hyukchul starts by sizing up Kim. He understands he can see and predict Kim's attacks, but unfortunately, he can't avoid them. From his past experience, he concluded he can't beat him in a striking fight. He also concludes the only way to gain an advantage is by successfully grabbing Kim, and he's certain no one can overpower him. Immediately, he dashes, closing the distance, intending to grab Kim by the head. As usual, he dodges with ease. Hyukchul tries again, this time aiming for his clothes, believing he has Kim. Our boy is a slippery fellow, pulling off a sick move, and countering the fool in an instant, immediately following up with multiple strikes on Hyeksul's face. Reflecting, Kim thinks about the moment before the fight. Before encountering PG Cheol, he helped Dong-gu, who was messed up by Jong-jan, and their conversation about his wounds leaving a scar. However, Dong-gu comments that it's unfair. Thinking about his past when he was bullied, he comments that no matter how hard he tries, he can't run from it, always reminded by the scars. Thankfully, he explains he is reassured by having someone like our boy, also promising to pay as much as he wants. Kim asks if he was serious. He replies that he wants our boy to take them a bit more seriously rather than just protecting them. Back to the fight. Hyeksul groans in pain. However, Kim doesn't let him recover, quickly delivering a kick, making him stumble and fall like trash. He tries to get up, concluding that our boy is trying to kill him. Muttering, he notes Kim shouldn't be ridiculous. Not wanting to be underestimated, he is actually a black belt athlete and won a medal. This is the reason he was scouted by PG Cheol, who complimented him, noting he wasn't ordinary. He sighs, noting that with Hyeksul's monstrous talent, it will be difficult for him to be on top, believing the world is unfair. That's when PG Cheol offers his hand, promising to make the fool special. This fuels his determination as he concludes he is the chosen one, the special one, believing himself to be the main character of this manhwa. With that, he charges toward Kim again with murderous intent. But Kim, with little effort, easily dodges the straight grab. Hyeksul still remains fixed on grabbing Kim. Our boy, still the slippery one, easily evades all his attempts. However, he manages to successfully grab Kim. He grins wickedly, commenting that it's over for Kim. He concludes that doing a hip throw will end the fight. In reality, he feels something strange. He is unable to lift our boy. He wonders if Kim adjusted his balance and spread his center of gravity to the ground, making it impossible to perform the throw. In disbelief, he understands this is a move performed only by pros. Meanwhile, Kim seizes his moment of carelessness to counter with a suplex. The force creates a huge impact, making him almost pass out as he lets out a silent scream. He concludes Kim must be a monster. Despite the difference in weight, he is able to pull off such moves. He tries getting up while favoring his neck, but he is stunned the next moment. Kim is ready to kick him into oblivion, sending him flying several meters, now standing victorious over Hyeksul, who just passed out. At the same time, the police arrive at the scene, addressing Kim and surprised that he is a high school student. One of the beaten runaway Tiger Clan members manages to report the incident to the police. One officer points at Kim while his partner warns him to raise his hands and approach them slowly. The officer is struck suddenly, and he is sent flying several meters by PG Cheol wielding a brick. Seeing his police partner not moving and unconscious, he turns his attention to PG Cheol, pointing his gun at him. But the menace has already approached with the brick. The unfortunate police officer is brutally hit a couple of times. PG Cheol lets out a satisfactory sigh, noting he was done. Adjusting his hair, as he turns to Kim, he asks if it wasn't exciting. Meanwhile, Kim's eyebrows furrow like a sharp blade. When he doesn't respond, he explains that violence seems convenient. Muttering, he points out how it can help someone achieve things quicker rather than a long wait. He asks if Kim understands, muttering that he feels a sense of kinship with our boy. Approaching Kim, he suggests they become friends, promising to make him special with his abilities, making him get the rewards he deserves. Next, he talks about the Yakuza boss. He asks if our boy knows what the man once said. With a sickening expression, he continues, stating the boss's words: money justifies, and violence, in turn, builds an empire. Before he could rant further, Kim cuts him off, commenting that the man is dead. In the blink of an eye, our boy delivers a surprise strike to PG Cheol. Our boy is the one that ended the man. Let's shift to the restaurant at the beginning of this chapter. The man asks the principal what he meant by something filthy. The principal, feeling on edge, tries to explain, remembering his meeting with the congressman. That's when he discovers an unsettling message. The male warns him about the fight at the school beforehand, also threatening him. He concludes our boy's identity must be something classified and heavily secured by the higher-ups, but he doesn't disclose this. Meanwhile, back to the fight with PG Cheol. He is actually the first to block Kim's strike, which makes him grin slyly. He stares at him wickedly, concluding that our boy doesn't want to be friends with him. Kim sighs, asking why he keeps ranting, noting that it's pissing him off. Meanwhile, PG Cheol believes our boy is just an ordinary student. In the next chapter, someone starts by asking if murder wasn't bad. In the live broadcast, Another responds that people will have to die someday. The inmate explains everyone has to die, and he decides when the day will be. The man is a serial killer. At the same time, boiling water is poured, which landed on an infant, letting out a huge cry. Shocked, their mom calls the elder one, PG Cheol, asking what he was doing. However, the fool just gives her a stare like he was doing nothing. Apparently, the serial killer, after the interview, has to pay for what he did. The scene changes to the police station. The officer in charge of the juvenile case asks PG Cheol why he attempted to end his young sibling. PG Cheol wastes no time pinning the blame on his brother. Despite his warning to stop crying, he refused. We are taken to the juvenile detention. Inside, a news interview is broadcast. The reporter explains the man who is the leader of the Japan Okita group, who is suspected of killing 7 rival gang members, has been acquitted that day. Younger PG Cheol watches the news in awe. At the same time, another man responsible for the death of a girl in a drunk driving accident is reported to be a mistake and not the actual driver. That's when PG Cheol discovered his life goal, to determine the time of death, to become something special, to be a god. Shifting to him meeting his little brother, he asks if the little one knows why he tried to kill him. The little one watches calmly with his disfigured. Seeing this, he comments that his little brother looks a lot like him. With a sinister expression, he adds there can be only one room for them. It is unclear if he ended his little brother. Back to the present, PG Cheol comments that he was special. Meanwhile, our boy is as nonchalant as ever. Suddenly, delivering a surprise kick, which PG Cheol dodges, and a hook, which PG Cheol blocks successfully. PG Cheol suddenly asks how Kim is able to move ahead of him so quickly. Kim gives the obvious answer. He's just faster than him, while wondering if the guy is a nutcase. Also, Kim notes it's been a while since he encountered someone like PG Cheol. Stunned, he realizes our boy isn't ordinary as he imagined previously, adding that he has encountered a lot of people and all kinds of people in the past. Concluding this was the first time he was experiencing something like this. Muttering insults, Kim suggests if he plans on talking to himself, PG Cheol shouldn't talk to him. This causes him to charge towards Kim, remarking that our boy is quite interesting. He strikes, believing he made an impact. However, he is caught off guard, seeing Kim countering while mocking him for trying to copy his move. He tanked the hit squarely, making Kim realize his strike didn't sink deep. PG Cheol confirms his thoughts, muttering things are about to get more interesting. Next, he throws a punch, which Kim easily evades. His next strike almost caught Kim by surprise, but he successfully dodged by lowering his body. With that, they come back and forth, exchanging hits. When Kim successfully lands a hit, PG Cheol tilts his neck to reduce the impact. Inwardly, Kim notes this, thinking about his next move. Seizing the opportunity, PG Cheol delivers an E-strike, which our boy again evades. At the same time, Kim realizes as the fight progresses, his speed and strength gradually increase. Never expecting to meet someone like him, he is forced to be on the defensive. However, the scenario excites Kim deeply. He finally found someone worthy. Despite PG Cheol's incredible increase in speed, his pattern of attacks is too shallow, easily predictable. First, he throws a barrage of punches as bait. He prepares his real attack, which is his right fist. Kim sees through his move with clear disdain on his face. Meanwhile, PG Cheol asks for our boy's thoughts, asking if he is fascinated by his strength. At the same time, Kim is stunned momentarily as PG Cheol throws a left straight instead of a right. PG Cheol believes the fight is being concluded by his decisive punch, literally enjoying himself. But he is stunned the next moment. Kim grabs his punch midway, feeling irritated by PG Cheol's continuous rant. PG Cheol, on the other hand, tries to understand how Kim was able to stop his attack. The next moment, his blood vessels pulse as Kim mocks him for thinking he is something special. He concludes by saying PG Cheol is definitely not ordinary, but at best, he's just a local talent. PG Cheol is in disbelief while muttering Kim's words internally. The next moment, he feels he just lost his left eye, wondering how it's possible since he didn't sense Kim's movement. Reflecting, he thinks about Kim's words, noting he just talks and nothing more. Soon, it becomes clear, like his body is being torn away one by one. At the same time, two figures arrive at the scene while having a conversation. They believe PG Cheol is already involved with the runaway Tiger Clan leader. The red-hair guy agrees, noting the guy has been receiving calls from him. He is Yu Jung-sik, rank number at Nam Paworim High. With that, His partner complains how things always get messed up when PG Cheol gets involved. Regardless, Jung-sik suggests they work things quickly to settle things once and for all as they finally arrive at the fight scene. He suddenly spots Kim, now more surprised and in disbelief. He spots PG Cheol literally messed up. Our boy definitely broke him. At the same time, Kim spots them, which makes his partner curious about Kim's identity. The next chapter begins with showing the inside of the gang hideout. Yu Jung-sik is surprised. The Iljeong guys and the gang were completely wrecked by one person. He concludes PG Cheol. With his condition, he can't avoid a permanent disability. Then he turns to his partner, addressing him as captain and asking for his opinion, believing it makes sense why they were completely wrecked since PG Cheol was the one involved. However, the captain remains silent momentarily. Muttering, he suggests that they have no reason to rush things. Meanwhile, at the police station, we finally see the face of the corrupt officer recommended by Jang Chan. However, Officer Chung-sik wonders why there is an app on his phone he didn't download. Looking and seeing an anonymous message from someone called X, advising him to properly investigate the stab case at Kim's school and other crimes in Iljeong over the years. The anonymous figure also warns he has evidence of the officer's corruption in an email, suggesting he take the case seriously, and this is his warning. Of course, the fool wonders who the strange figure was. Meanwhile, at the hideout, the captain is interested in Kim. Muttering, he concludes sooner or later they will encounter our boy. The next day, Seol Mina is in full-on cheerleader mode. It's no surprise the news about PG Cheol's fall spread quickly. A bit annoyed, Dong-gu reprimands her for stealing his line, but she, on the other hand, wants them to mind their own business. Reflecting, the bullies at the beginning of the story comment on how they are paying for their lunch, noting the drastic change happening in the school, concluding that there is no place for them in the school. Meanwhile, Seol Mina complains, suggesting they post threatening comments online rather than on the flyers. But the otaku explains no one ever views their posts. Now feeling dejected, thinking they have lost their usefulness, the bullies share the same sentiment. At the same time, Kim isn't concerned. The scene changes to our duo. Dong-gu starts the conversation, saying Kim's bonus will be placed in his locker. He sincerely thanks him, noting ever since he transferred in, things have drastically changed and feel almost unreal. Expressing further thanks, Kim stops him abruptly. After all, to him, it's just a job he was paid to do. We see a text and photo of PG Cheol. Still, Dong-gu can't believe Kim was able to take him down. Excited, Dong-gu asks if the photo was edited. Kim scoffs, noting editing takes time and it's easier to beat them up, making Dong-gu reply with a compliment. Then he talks about Kim's next mission. He needs to be fully prepared. In order not to be a burden, he boldly asks Kim to teach him how to fight. Kim, however, is momentarily stunned since this came out of nowhere. But before he could reply, the scene changes. We see a guy talking about PG Cheol being taken down while tossing up a baseball. He is rank 5 of Edkang High, and his name is Wai Seokyeon. Reflecting, Wai Seokyeon loudly expressed to his crew it was a relief, and it was time for them to celebrate. However, someone suspects it to be a rumor, concluding PG Cheol to be a monster and a psychopath. Wai Seokyeon notes PG Cheol isn't someone easily taken down, asking for Dong-hyuk's opinion. We see Dong-hyuk looking a bit puzzled by his question and why he is used as a target dummy. Immediately, he is struck by the baseball, making him groan in pain. Meanwhile, Wai Seokyeon throws a tantrum, reminding him never to act clueless. Furious, he immediately demands the fool bring the ball. The fool apologizes, handing the ball over, which Seokyeon tells him to go back to his seat. His seat is basically a reserved spot. As he walks, the girl expresses pity while Seokyeon mocks him, noting Dong-hyuk was born to be a loser. He continues throwing tantrums and insults at the boy's parents, while he just stands there, remaining silent, enduring the cruelty of the school bully. Frustrated, Wai Seokyeon asks coldly why he was being ignored. Dong-hyuk bites his lips and remains silent, annoyed to the point his veins pulse. He throws the baseball at great speed. Dong-hyuk is horrified, seeing the ball heading straight for his head. Quickly, he lowers his body in time. At the same time, someone catches the flying ball like it was nothing. It turns out to be our duo, and Dong-gu sighs in relief that the guy dodged in time. As Dong-hyuk turns his attention to them, Kim takes a moment to process the situation. Unfortunately, his favorite pork fries landed on the ground. Wai Seokyeon, clueless, recognizes them as Suming High students. Before he could proceed with questioning, the baseball is already planted in his mouth by Kim. As the fool collapses, his girlfriend, concerned, quickly calls out to him. Kim, now serious, hands his tray to his friend. Immediately, she is captivated by Kim's looks, wondering if he belongs to someone. However, one fool steps up for his boss, asking Kim if he is blind not to see their uniform. However, Kim ignores his rant, reaching for something in his jacket, immediately pulling out a gun, and silencing the fool immediately. Dong Hyuk stood still, utterly bewildered. Thankfully, they were rubber bullets, and the fool's companion tries to process the situation. Quickly, he bolts towards Kim, demanding to know why he has a gun, but Kim easily deals with him, following up with an uppercut, smashing the fool headfirst into the wall, receiving several rubber bullets on his back. He begins pleading with Kim, noting he can't breathe. However, Kim just silences him like the fool before him, approaching the rest, who are somewhat shaken by Kim using a gun. But Kim didn't want to waste time, instructing them to come at once. With that, their behinds got handed to them. Why Seok-yeon better stop? His girlfriend is mesmerized. With his front teeth missing, he asks the reason for our boy's actions, asking if PG Cheol sent him. But Kim just remains silent, watching the clueless fool, now trying to exert his authority, and proclaiming his name out loud. But Kim, with a calm demeanor, asks for his identity. Realizing Kim just ignored him and wasn't taking him seriously, he charges toward Kim while calling him a bastard. Kim, on the other hand, calmly advises him to look down. The fool falls for Kim's classic. Seizing the opportunity, Kim points the gun at him, realizing he just messed up, receiving his share of rubber bullets on his forehead. And this is our boy's next mission, or rather, conquest. Why Seok-yeon, lying on the ground, is in disbelief. Meanwhile, our boy just stares down at him, deciding to eradicate all delinquents in Sukdong High School.